Alright, check this out. It's a 2005 Dodge Grand Caravan. And I have a ABS light on. So I'm not going to really get into any graphing, at least most likely, but I do have the scanner because I was checking the codes. So if I went into ABS, it tells me what key to put in my scanner, and see the code here is a pump motor circuit failure. So there's no number description for it, and if I look it up in Mitchell, it just says it could be, you know, fuses, wiring, pump, module, all that stuff. Kind of generic. So I wanted to, just while I'm sitting here in the scan tool, you can go to functional tests, hit my ATM test, go to a pump motor, and try to run the pump, and you know, turn it on, and it says negative response. So it also sees something's wrong on the performance test. So I went to back to the data display just to see what I had here, and if you look at my ABS pump voltage, it's at 0. So I'm not quite sure if this thing, where the computer, the ABS computer, checks the voltage. But if you look at, let's see, I can turn my little light on here. If you look at the wiring diagram, the pump is built into the whole ABS module, and the main fuse feeding the pump is this 40 amp fuse right there, and then it comes down, you know, into the module, and then there's a couple grounds, and I can't even read that from here, near the powertrain control module. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know where the ABS unit checks for this voltage up here. I don't know if it checks it right on the, you know, right on the voltage supply side, or does it check it after the motor on the ground side, you know, which would, you know, indicate a bad pump if you had an open winding. So I'm not sure where. I still don't know if I have a wiring issue or if I have a bad pump. So, well, now I know. So I'm just going to show you what's going on here. So first thing I did is I'm going to turn the fan on a little bit higher so you can hear it. So you can hear the blower motor running. Turn my Steelers propaganda off. And so what you have here is, since I already have a store part, I'm not going to put it together for video's sake, but I have the battery on the floor, jumper cables running to my positive and negative leads, and I have this handy dandy test light. Check this out. I know a lot of you guys hate my beepy test light, and I had a subscriber mail me this for Christmas, and you know, honestly at first I felt a little bit weird about it, only because, you know, I don't know anybody that's really subscribing, and I have no way of thanking anybody or returning any kind of favor. So it just put me in a position of, you know, just to be thankful for it, you know, and I thanked him for it as well. And the story behind it was pretty cool. I must have done a video that somebody diagnosed as an expensive job. He was the second opinion. He fixed it cheap, got a great tip from this person, and wanted to spread the joy around, if you will. So wanted to say thanks, Steve. I won't go any further than that. But I'm not expecting any gifts from anyone. I just figured I'd give him some thanks on YouTube, and I don't really know a whole lot about it. I know it's it doesn't beep, so if you have, you know, if I touch it to my battery positive, if I can get a good connection here because it's got grease on it, you can see I have touch here. So upside down with the key on and the blower, battery's probably dead from sitting around. I got 11.1, and then on the ground side, it's not showing any voltage. Turn that around, but the little light turns green. Doesn't make any noise, gives you some voltage readings. It also has some kind of min-max glitch capture, and if you, I guess there's a button on here up top here, you can press and change modes. And I honestly don't know how it works. I don't know how it works yet. So if any of you guys have one of these, you could tell me about the glitch capture. I'm kind of interested. I just never had too much time to mess with it. So anyway, I got this new tool out. And if you look at, put that away. If you look at the fuse box here, I don't know if you'll be able to see, because everything's just etched in plastic, but the ABS fuse is, put this in a position, it's right here. And if I zoom in on that, how close I can get, but that says ABS module and pump or something like that. And then down over here I have the front blower. So that's why I have the blower on. So what I did is I pulled the ABS fuse out, just because before I even pulled the tool out, when I was messing around with just trying to do a quick diagnostics, I you know, sometimes can't tell if those fuses are bad. So I just switched them, and I put that 40 amp in there, and then I took the one that was out of the ABS pump and put it in the blower, and it worked. So quick and dirty fuse check when you have the same kind. That's what I did. So of course now I'm wondering if I even have power, so that is where a test light comes into play. So if I shake the camera around and then I check voltage, I have the same 11.1 weak battery, and of course I don't have any voltage on that side, because that would be making it to the pump and I'd see it. So the next step was to actually get down to the ABS unit, which is a bear, because you can't see it from underneath. The battery sits right here. There's the tray, there's a bolt down there, a bolt over here, a bolt over there, and I don't know if there was only 3 or 4, but either way, the battery sits in this area next to the fuse box, and the ABS unit, I don't arc everywhere with my jumper wires, is way down there, and you can't get to it from the back. You actually have to pull the battery out and move all your wires out of the way, and there's a little tab you squeeze down at the bottom here, and then you can swing the, I'm trying to light that up so you can see, but you can swing the connector tab up, and then you can unplug the thing. So here's your ABS bulk connector. So really what I want to do is just check power, make sure I have power at the pump, and see if I gotta go further and try to confirm a bad pump module assembly, which the customer already priced, because they like to try to find used stuff, and they still wanted $1,000 for that, and I don't know if I'd even want to do that. Just look, all those brake lines way down in there, and bleeding it out, so I'm hoping there's a power problem. Make some money myself, save him $1,000 and not have to do that. So let me get some other stuff set up here real quick. Alright, so I have a flexible mirror running down here because I can't pull that connector out far enough. But if you look back in here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it with my light and it looks like it's turning out alright. But you have your tan red wire. So I'm looking at this through a mirror, so that's going to be my top left, looking at from the face as well. So you have your tan red wire and your green, looks like pink wire. Those are the heavy ones. So if I flip this over to where I can see the actual face, you have the two heavy up top and then a whole bunch of little ones and then two heavy ones at the bottom. So I believe the top two are the powers. What did I say? Tan, orange, and green, pink. So tan, red. So if you look at the wiring diagram off of the 40 amp fuse, that's the tan red that goes over to the ABS unit, and then the dark green pink, is it? Yeah, dark green pink. So that comes from, looks like a fused ignition, dark green pink. So those are my two powers coming in, and the other two are the two grounds that go down there. So that's the way they have it. So if I were to take the new voltage reading test light and I touch the one that was the ignition switched green wire without the blower motor running, I have 12 volts. And if I go over to the tan, whatever it was, red, you see I have 0 volts. So now I'm feeling better that I don't have to do that pump. So the next step is to see why am I losing the voltage through, you know, I mean, from this fuse box down to there. So, well, first of all, it would help if I had the fuse in, wouldn't it? But I already know I don't have power there, so I'll put it in just to show, and then I'll touch the terminal for that tan red, and you can see I still have 0 volts. So that's kind of cool. I'm happy about that, at least so far, because I don't know if I'm going to deal with internal, you know, power distribution box circuitry or not. So what was cool though is there's a little tab down here. Just pry that out of the way, and then you can flip the fuse box up with the battery out of the way, and you can get to the underneath. And what I found, let me get a little bit more light here. So I'm looking for a heavier gauge. Most of these are heavier gauge, a tan red wire. And if you move some stuff around, it's right under there. That was the only one of its color. And what I saw, which is probably going to be hard to show here with the video camera in my hand, is I started to look down at the connections, and you can see there's all kinds of corrosion inside. Let me see how tight I can zoom without getting it fuzzy. But where that below the yellow wire is the tan red wire, and you could see it's packed full of corrosion. And I touched it with my screwdriver, and the wire is actually loose in there. It's actually broken. So if I pull that out, you can see that wire is totally broken at the connector. Everything's so stiff. There it is. There's my broken wire going into that socket right there, packed full of all that corrosion. And it looks like they made it a plug, so we try to unplug that and we'll see if there's something we can do to repair that connection. Alright, so me and plastic don't get along real well. But just like a lot of Chrysler products, you got this stupid little clip, and they all have them where you slide up on it before you can press the tab to release it. I think I was flipping everyone off there. But I broke the part you pull up on, but I got it with a little pick tool. So I was able to unplug it, and these things, you can usually take terminals apart and see. And I do a engine jobs here and there where I save the whole wiring harness for cars. So I'm hoping I have something that I can fix this with. So pull that little piece out right there. Let me see if I can get a light to shine on, see what I'm doing here. And there's a little tab, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little tab that holds the terminal in. So the broken one is down here, so you can kind of pry that tab out and push the terminal out of the way, and we'll see if I have something. Oop, there it goes. So now I don't even know what it looks like. Doesn't that suck? So I'll pull out one that actually has a wire attached to it, and remember the yellow one goes up top. So there is what the terminal looks like. Try to zoom in on that a little bit. It has a little square that gets locked in, so it's a spade terminal. So worst case scenario, I could jam a spade terminal in there, but I'm gonna go over to my engine wiring harness stuff. See, snow, we never got it in Pittsburgh, my car. And of course it's dark over here. But I have probably about 6 engines worth of wiring harnesses here. So I'm gonna dig through here, see if I can come up with something. So check this out, man. The first thing I grabbed, it's a lead off of a PT Cruiser. When you buy a cooling fan, at least some of the models, they came with the high and low speed relay and the harness plugs for the vehicle for the whole fan. So I found the heavy fan motor wire and pulled it out, and it looks like it has like pretty near the same kind of connector. So I'm gonna see if that slides onto those terminals down there, and if that slides on there, I'll attach it to, I don't know if I'll solder it or do one of them crimpy heat shrinky things just so I can get this done. So let's see if it fits. Alright, so I tried it on the terminal, and there's a little bit of corrosion here. I'll get a wire brush and clean up before I snap it back together, but it seems to fit nice and snug on there. And then this is when if this was interactional, I'd be like, crap, which one did I say the yellow one went on? But I know it went on the top one, so we'll try that. But if we take this end with the square lock, I don't know if I'm filming that. Are we filming this? Zoom out a little bit. With the little square notch that's kind of in the same spot as there, and look at my end with the little tab I pried back. So if I put this in there, push, you can see it's up in there. Push that little tab and it fits in there perfect. Can't believe it. There's a little rubber grommet I don't need, so I can put the yellow one back in and just attach these two. So I never really have good luck soldering heavy wire like that, so I think I might have a connector. So these things are pretty awesome. If you're just working under a dash, you can just use a regular butt connector. But if you're out in the elements, especially seeing that one is corroded, they sell these that have a heat shrink tubing built around it. So if you get you want to make sure that you don't crimp it with the pointed end, because you'll end up cutting the plastic. I'm showing you on the other one, but you'll end up digging into the plastic, and then this thing will just, sometimes it'll just rip apart when you heat it. So you want to use just the little crush function where you can just crush it tight, and then you can heat it up. With a lighter. Peel that back. Maybe go a little bit further and see how deep that goes in. So I have better luck crushing it with the smaller end and not the point that digs into it, because then it'll, like I said, it'll end up probably splitting. And then go to this one that was broken, see how far back it's bad, and looks like it was just broken right at the tip. Make sure we're seeing what I'm doing here, kinda. Twist the wire. Get it in there. Crush it shut. And find a lighter. And this thing will do its own heat shrink deal and leave that little clear residue that oozes out to let you know you sealed over the wire. Sure, there's heat guns and all kinds of stuff, but I smoke a cigar here and there, so I have lighters. And there you go. There's a easy heavy gauge wire repair. So we'll plug this in, see if I have power down at the pump, see if I can make it run, and hopefully this one's done. that in snug. Broken tab. There you go. Snap that in place. Key's still on, so the battery's probably even more dead. I don't know if I'll take the camera off of here. Touch where the other end of that fuse went. And there you go. 12 volts-ish. Yeah. See if I can get a better picture of that. Take the test light upside down. Touch the wire that I was looking for, and there you go. 12 volts. So I think it's going to run, hopefully. So snap the ABS pump back together. Swing that little arm up. Push that in. Snap it into place. Got my fuse in. Well, would have to, or I wouldn't have power. I can go back in here. And I can go to my data display first, I guess. And no, it still shows no volts. And it still shows no volts. So that's not good. Let's go back to functional tests, pump motor, turn it on. Oh, I hear it running. We'll scroll. Reference voltage 9 volts. I don't know how to turn it off. Can't turn it off. Let's try something here. Pump motor. We'll scroll first. I still have a 9.95 volts. So, well, we heard the pump work. So, pump's running. Couldn't do that before. Turn it off. Go back to my data display, and I don't know why it shows no volts. So there's a reference voltage. Probably should have looked at that first. So I wonder if the pump voltage is when the pump's actually running. If it looks for it, maybe that's where it is. I don't know if anyone knows that. I looked at the wrong one, but I'm going to take that fuse back out and see if my reference voltage goes away. Fuse is out. No. So I'm sitting here talking a whole lot of nothing. Alright, so I missed this the first time because I was listening for the motor. But when you turn it on and you hear the pump run, then you start seeing the voltage. And I have a battery charger on, so I'm showing 13, 14 volts. So the check side of the pump motor voltage, it must be after it energizes it, then it's actually looking for it. So from a data stream standpoint, when I was just in the data display, it appears to be normal to see no voltage at the ABS pump PID unless the pump is running. So don't know if this will help anyone or not. You can flip it over and just look for that broken wire if you happen to see it, but if you're looking for voltage at the pump, it looks like you need to actually command it on, turn it on, and then you'll see the pump voltage. So if you go back to this thing with the battery, I'd clear the codes, it would come back automatically. The code would come back and key's been on and no codes. So can call this one fixed. Thanks for watching, guys.